I did that backwards. All right, people. I know y'all can hear me, but we're doing the countdown anyway. What up to my thugs, nerds, freaks, and geeks? You're now rocking with the best of Don, Tony, Teflon. Usual suspects in the building. Rocking with my man, Phil the Issues Guy. What's going on?
Not too much. I was muted there for a second, but it's great to be back here this week to talk about last week's episode, but build up the excitement for episode 3. I can't wait for people to see this episode.
That is right. And we have a superstar in the building rocking with us. The one, he has books out, comic books, everything. I knew him way back when, man. Way back when all that stuff we got done. We're going to talk about all that. But the one, the only, Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire. It's rocking.
How's it going, guys? I'm so happy to be here. It's been a while since the three of us have had the opportunity to chat. So yeah, I'm really enjoying House of the Dragon so far.
Let's get right into that then. So what were your expectations for it, and have they exceeded it? And has it made you make you want to watch it? Did it get you back into the throne era?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, I had basically no expectations. I knew going into this that if I get really into it and I dive into all the trailers, it's gonna make me overly excited. And if it wasn't that good, I didn't want to be destroyed. So I purposely kept my expectations kind of low. I thought the show will be take it or leave it for me. And then I watched the first episode and I was just blown away by the quality of it, by the respectfulness of it to the book material, by the look of it. I thought the casting was really good. So yeah, it definitely exceeded my expectations 100%.
I 100% agree with you. Now I was hoping for the best, but after the way we seen Game of Thrones, and I'm not gonna lie, it put a bad taste in my mouth. I know a lot of people, won't even watch the show because of the way Game of Thrones ended, right? So it did it to me. It made me feel that way. I was gonna watch it because I'm that much of a fan, too big of a fan not to, you know what I mean? But it did leave a bad taste. So I feel, how did this do for you when you first started watching?
I was similar to Quinn in the way that I think over expectations with media can be one of the worst things you can do to yourself. Even if something ends up being good, it can kind of cloud your perspective for years looking at something. If you build it up so much, this is going to be the greatest thing of all time. I can't wait to watch this. It's going to match that energy of Thrones. Some people can kind of feed into that and live off of it. For me, if I do that, it better. I go into it at that point going, what am I going to not like? And I look to pick things apart in it and all of that. So I went into it with as little expectations as well, too. I tried to stay clear of most of the trailers and not do reactions or not get myself too into the mix until I saw a few episodes. And then I would say halfway through episode 1, it kind of just snapped into me. It was just, you could feel the intensity, feel the texture of the world again, and that sort of slapped me across the face with it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm back into this now. I'm all in now.
Right. Let me give a shout out to Winter, who just became a member of Teflon TV. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. If anyone wants to become a member of Teflon TV, please do. We got great emojis, like we got LMR emojis. Put the LMR emoji in there in the chat phone. We got Phil the Issues Guy emojis. The Don Tony Teflon. You got me. We got Gray Area coming up. She's next on the list. And Quinn, we're gonna do an emoji of you too.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna put the Quinn Idea Nice and Fire emoji up on it. I just need more members so I can add more people there, but I'll be definitely doing that. Let's say what up to the people here in the chat. I want to say shout out to Top Ranked Fandom, who just left me a super chat. I seen you. Let me scroll back up there. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate Jackie C's in the building. Rock with Muhammad, my brother from another mother. Why So Curious is here. Lady Starfall is here. My lady LMR is in the building rocking with us. Jackie C is here. Killmonger the Rembo, another member. Audrey McConnell is in here. So many. We're gonna give more shout outs. Carla Way, all the way from down under, is in the building. I Eat Zebra is up in. I thought you were saying boo to me, but then I see it says Nim. God damn it. You know what? I'm going to tell this story. I've told this story before. Quinn knows the story. Maybe some of y'all are new here. You don't know this story. So I'll tell you a story that happened between me and Quinn, bro. Not really Quinn, but me. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Gray Area because she was there.
I was there too.
I was the only one who wasn't there. So
we're in the con and we're hanging out there. So this girl comes over to me and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, it's really you, Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire. I'm your biggest fan. I love you so much." And the Gray gonna blow it up and go, "He's not Quinn." I said, "Yes, I am. Don't listen to her. I am Quinn." And she goes, "Wait a second, are you really?" And I go, "Darkness gathers across the world." And she's like, "Oh my God, it really is you. You gotta take a picture with you." I took a picture with her.
And Tony, you're underestimating how good you did the voice in the moment there. Like in the moment, you like totally simulated Quinn's voice, and she was like, "Whoa, wow!"
Oh, she was like, "It really is. You gotta take a picture." I took the picture with her and everything.
I feel like people didn't really know what I looked like back then as much because I got a lot of people at the conventions where they were like, "I recognized you by your voice, not your face."
Well, she knew you were black because
that was the one thing.
That was a fun time and everything. All right, just going through that real quick and everything else. Val, thank you so much for being here. Sonic, your boys up in here. Let's go into last week's episode real quick and say, what was the highlight of last week's episode? If you had to pick one thing, let's go through one thing right off the bat that was the highlight for you for last week's episode. What did you think it was?
All right, do I get to go first? Okay.
Yeah, you're the guest.
So for me, the highlight of last week's episode was Rhaenyra just finishing off the conflict with Daemon with no bloodshed and coming in on a dragon and just like totally working that whole situation and showing that she is capable, right? So I really, really enjoyed that whole moment and the two dragons. By the way, I love how the dragons look. I love the fact that there's different models for each of the dragons. They're not all like clones of the same model with slightly different shades. So yeah, that whole sequence I thought was just really, really well done. And she's like a mini Daenerys. So I love it.
How did you like it when you seen her actually in the saddle itself? Did you like the way that looked?
Well, for me, I think it looked a little bit too like Daenerys. I wished it looked a little bit more different. Some of the CGI, when they're showing like the interactions between people and dragons and they're actually making contact with the dragon, it looks a little bit rough. Like the actual dragon texture and model itself looks really good. But like in the first episode, when Daemon was petting his dragon, it looked a little bit like the shading was a little bit off. So it looks a little bit, but I'm not going to like knock it too much. It looks really good, I think.
Yeah, I would say that is definitely a highlight scene. And I'll say dealing with the whole bridge scene. These motherfuckers needed to hustle their ass across the bridge. I tell you, there's a trope. You know it. If there's a long, skinny bridge, you can't take your time to cross it. This is the way it is. In any TV show or movie, when you have a long, skinny bridge, you got to hustle. There's no walking across that. Now, this dude, Otto, and I can't stand him, he had some balls to really go up there with that few men. Like, did you forget that this dude had a dragon? He's sitting there. You can't win this, Daemon. Like, what are you thinking? This dude.
I thought
easy.
I thought the same exact thing, and I said that in my review of the second episode. And a bunch of people were saying to me that maybe Otto was trying to provoke Daemon, like he didn't think that he would kill the Kingsguard. But I don't know about that. I feel like if Daemon was, I don't know. I feel like he would maybe if he got pissed off enough.
Could we put a?
But I think Otto was super ballsy, and that was kind of reckless a little bit. But I see where some people are coming from when they say he was just trying.
I don't know. Okay, is it able to? I'm not able to put a poll in there, right?
You can if you go to like the chat room, the live chat room on the actual YouTube page on your thing.
Let's ask the people. Do you think Daemon was willing to kill, or no? Do you think Daemon wasn't going to kill him? If it came down, do you think he would have did that, kill him? I think Daemon would definitely kill him.
Yeah, if Rhaenyra did.
Before in the first episode that he wanted the throne. He was pissed off that he didn't get the throne. And people were like, no, he didn't care about the throne. Pretty obvious he did care about the throne. And that's when she went there and challenged him and said, yo, the reason why you're mad is because of me, because I have the throne. So come on and kill me. If that's what you're mad about, kill me right now. He just threw the dragon egg at her and everything. How about Daemon's accent? I've heard some people say that they liked it. Some people say, he sounds a little bit different. Did it throw you off any bit? Do you like it or what?
I guess I didn't really notice it as much. Like the only accents that really stand out to me when I'm watching TV when they're bad are Southern accents because I'm from the South. But if it's like another accent, I really don't pay too much of attention to it. So it didn't bother me.
Yeah,
Phil, what did you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
his voice kind of reminds me a little bit of Ramsey sometimes when he's in the higher register. Just his diction, like the way his vocal tempo choices remind me kind of that. And to answer your question before, I think if Rhaenyra didn't show up there, Daemon was definitely killing all of them. And there is something to be said that maybe Otto did go there to prove a point, to make Daemon more of a villain by sacrificing himself there. That's why he was very almost saying his goodbyes to Alicent and showing her how proud he was of her in that moment before he left. He could have, in his way, I mean, what did he think was going to happen? Going there with a small group of guys against a dragon and Daemon, some guy who thinks he's a giant C word. I mean, yeah. I think it could have, it's hard for me to imagine that Otto wouldn't think his life was high at risk in that situation. He wouldn't have been able to talk Daemon out of killing.
Yeah. That to me, that scene struck me as like almost like a plot hole, because that's a big assumption to assume that Daemon, who just stole a dragon egg and is clearly saying like kind of screw you to like his brother the king, wouldn't kill you with his dragon. That's a big assumption to make. And so I feel like I my honest opinion, if I'm being really honest, I think that was a plot contrivance so that they could show the two dragons kind of like come together. That's what I think it was. It was a cool scene, but I don't think Otto was doing like this like very like super like planning thing where he's got like this meticulous Machiavellian scheme and he knows that Daemon is not going to kill him.
Did you think that his plan was just to make sure that the king didn't talk to his brother? Like he specifically said, because the king's like, I'm gonna go there, and then he's like, no, you can't do it. And as soon as Daemon sees him, he's like, where's my brother? Like he expected. So did Daemon just take the egg just to get his brother's attention so he could actually have some words with him?
Probably, but still, I think Otto is taking a big risk in doing that. I don't know. That's a big risk, especially with the way he was talking.
Yes, the queen of Teflon TV show, Straight Up, is rocking with us in the building right now. And Kelly Johnson, I know you left a super chat. I'm sorry, I'll get back to it as soon as I can, when I can. Again, if you're new to Teflon TV, you could become a member of Teflon TV. Become a member and support the channel. We love members and everything else. We love you all. All right, so it wasn't Otto Hightower. Definitely put himself in a situation to be killed. I think he was very reckless. And I want to shout out Gray Area because she's the one who told me that it was confirmed that Deep Throat, that's the nickname for Daemon's dragon on this channel, is Deep Throat. Deep Throat is actually the way he sounds like that because he sings love songs to all the female dragons. That's the reason why. That's what she said. It was confirmed. That was been confirmed by the showrunner, but that's why he sounds the way he does, and he sings love songs to the female dragons. So he's a player. This dude, Deep Throat, and the throat runs deep with this dude. All right, Phil, what was your favorite part of the episode?
It's hard not to pick the bridge scene because that was the intense climax moment of the episode. But I will say the counterbalance of the creepiness of the courting ritual. Even though that was uncomfortable, but it was depicted on the show uncomfortable in the right way. I thought it made me feel what the show wanted to make me feel with that situation. And then the joke of coming out of it that Viserys, turned down a 12-year-old to marry a 15-year-old. It's horrible, but it shows the disgusting reality of what the world that they're in right there. And I thought that was, in a warped way, depicted really well and came across similar to the birth in the first episode to kind of show you how horrible this world particularly can be in certain situations.
Yeah, I thought that she was beautiful. I mean, I didn't like the wig on her. It looked a little, founding fatherish. I'm not gonna lie, but the girl itself, she was so cute. She's such a cute, and the way she didn't even care about the king. She was just talking about the dragon. And especially if you're a book fan, how she is, with the dragon. Yep. She is just all about the dragon. She didn't care nothing about the king. She's like, he's right, he wrote that dragon. Where's it nested right now? All she cared about was the dragon. So that's what I loved about that. But what did you like about that scene?
Well, okay, so I feel like shows like Game of Thrones and a lot of other shows have these moments where people can interpret them the wrong way. It's being critical of the situation, right? It's showing it to you up front. It's not telling you what to think, but it knows what reaction you're meant to have. It's like, okay, like Mad Men will show like a bunch of sexism or like racism. And it's just meant to like expose that this existed and this was the reality of this.
Mhm.
It's not trying to glorify it. It's saying, look at this and look how horrible it is, right? Look how messed up this situation is. So I think it was really well balanced, the creepiness of it, because it was like everybody watching that scene like felt like kind of like had like a little bit of a tense feeling. It's kind of like, ugh, it's kind of like weird, right? And I also think that sequence kind of exposes Viserys' hypocrisy. Because like you said, it's like, oh, I don't want the 12-year-old, but I'll take the 15-year-old. And like they're both children. So yeah. You pick the child that you like the most.
I agree and disagree with the child situation because she looks so much younger than Alicent. You know,
she does.
She looks like a baby, like a toddler, like not a toddler, but you know what I'm saying. To me, that looks like a child. That looks like a first, second grader to me when I'm looking at that little girl. You know what I mean? So at least this chick, you know, you could look at her and not feel too bad about yourself. I mean, you probably should, depending on how old you are, but you can't feel too bad. Like maybe, and he's probably figuring. I would say, listen. Number one, he should have the right choice would have been to marry the little black girl, right? That's what he should have done. All his people told him that's what he should. But he's probably thinking like, listen, I don't want to wait 5 more years to have sex. You know, I need to get, especially with, I mean, if he's thinking that he could die, I mean, this stuff happening to his I'm trying to see what happens to him this time right now. Right? What's going to happen to him right now? Because his back messed up. His finger fucked up. Is he gonna lose a knee this episode? Is it gonna be his goddamn hip? I mean, it's something going on with this motherfucker body. His body breaking down in front of him.
The Iron Throne is killing him.
Do you think
like the Iron Throne itself is killing him,
or the maesters? What do you think?
Maybe both. I mean, George R. R. Martin, like I mean, the okay, like the themes surrounding the Iron Throne, right? It's like Aegon built this throne out of the swords of his enemies because he thought no king should ever sit easy. The Iron Throne kills unfit kings. I mean, not always, but I think that's a thematic thread that runs through it. If you're not suited, then like it weeds you out. You know what I mean? So that's why it cut him. That's why we see it cutting him and him bleeding. That's the first wound that's inflicted, and it all comes from that point. You know what I mean? Just the thematic thread. The Maester still could totally be poisoning him, but I think we're meant to symbolically think of it as the Iron Throne rejecting him.
Yeah, so like it did Maegor was the only king to actually legitimately get killed by the Iron Throne itself.
Supposedly, right?
Supposedly.
Yeah, I'm putting cushions on that motherfucker. All right. The first time that shit stabs me, I'm putting a pillow over top that shit. What are these kings thinking? What you got pillows? You got mattresses? Go get yourself some goose down. I would slap it right on that bed. You ain't cutting me no more, motherfucker. You got one shot to get me. It ain't gonna happen again. Not at all. Let me say what up to a couple of people they just got here and stuff like that. John Haymaker's in the building right now, rocking with it. You know, Jay Cruz and that little memory phone. I agree. But the infamous Kiki is in the building, rocking with us right now and everything else. All right. Talking about last week's episode, but before we do, I'm going to go into more last week's episode. We got a little bit of time to be here. I just want to add, we haven't seen Quinn in a while, so let's find out exactly what's going on with Quinn and his channel and his life and his books and everything else. So Quinn, give us the rundown, bro.
Okay, so like right now on my YouTube channel, I'm just covering like whatever books that I want to, like just random science fiction books that I find that are like older or newer, just whatever I get. My audience seems to be really liking that kind of content. And also I'm releasing my new graphic novel, The Lie Behind the Star, which is a science fiction book next year, starting February 2023 is when that launches. And my other graphic novel, Tadia, the audio book just came out, so people can get that if they want. Yeah, and it's got music and sound effects.
An audio book for that on Audible?
You can find all my stuff at quinnhoward.net. It's not on Audible just yet, but we're working on that, and also getting the books on Amazon.
And Tadia is all on you. You have to go to your website to get it too.
Yep. QuinnHoward.net. It's all up there.
QuinnHoward.net is where you go to get these books and everything else, and all the audio and everything else. Congratulations to my brother for doing all that big work and everything. Very proud of you and everything else, and how far
Thank you so much.
100%, man. We got Fernandez T. Thank you for the super chat. Make sure you hit that thumbs up for your boy real quick. You know what I mean? We got over 300 people watching. Let's get more in here. The way we get more in here is if you hit that thumbs up button. Let's get it to 300 likes. YouTube will push it out there more, and then we'll get more people in here. Let's get this going on here. Fernandez T said, "Good afternoon, gents. So does the throne officially hurt you magically, or are those just theories? So is it magical or is it physical? Because this wound, from what the maesters are saying, if we believe in them, it won't heal. It won't. That they're doing everything they can to heal it, and it refuses to heal.
That's where the maesters are sketchy. We're not healing, but it's both in a way. I mean, it's physically actually cutting people, so that's actually happening. But there's no. I was just gonna say scientific. There's no Westerosian scientific proof that the Iron Throne is coming alive to kill kings, but it did kill a king, and it does cut unfit kings, as Quinn was mentioning earlier.
This is what George R. Martin does, right? And he's had a lot of influence with this show. He likes to toe the line between, like, is this magic or is this something else? And sometimes, like, I mean, it's just a combination of both. I think just in general, the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, it's a little bit more magical than our world. Like things have a little bit more life to them. Like the trees are kind of alive. Maybe something about Aegon slaying all of these men and burning and melting these swords with dragon fire. Maybe something about that created something slightly magical. Maybe something is innate. Maybe like the suffering, the pain, the death forged something magical to some extent. So yeah.
So it could be a situation like I would say that I've heard people before who are vegetarians, right? And they say that if you eat beef and when the cow is killed, the stress from the cow enters into the beef itself. So when you eat that beef yourself, you would digest that stress itself into your body from eating the beef. So could it be a situation where the souls of these men are all inside of these swords in some way? So when you melt them together with the dragon fire, somehow it's them coming back to haunt your ass and cutting you for killing all that bloodshed.
Yeah, I mean, the Iron Throne itself is a symbol of suffering and just conquering, and it's just like it's kind of this big ugly symbol. Like George R. Martin always in the books talks about how ugly it is. That big ugly metal chair. So that's why I think the end of season 8, when the chair is destroyed, I think that's probably going to happen in the books to some extent, because the Iron Throne, there's something about it that's wrong, right? Like every time it's mentioned, everybody wants it. It's kind of like the Ring of Power in A Song of Ice and Fire. It's the thing that everybody wants. This symbol of greed, this symbol of this desire for power and desire to conquer, the desire to rule over everything. And all it does is cause death and suffering and a feast for crows, right? So I mean, the that's that.
Yeah, no, the Iron Throne itself is a terrible symbol throughout the world, right? And that is what people covet. Like people fiend for it and they want it, even though it means probably the end of your life. I mean, we could hear her when Viserys is talking to Rhaenyra, and he's like, you know, we play a deadly game here. You know, this is not, you know, a game that's won or anything else. This is game either you're gonna win or you're gonna. Seriously, say you win or you die. Yep. There's no middle ground when you're trying to get the Iron Throne. Once you start, you're either gonna win it or you're gonna die. But do you actually win it? And I think that's what George R. R. Martin likes to do in his books. That even the people who you would say won the throne, in the end, they truly win the game after everything they've been through to actually get there. And I think that's what he likes to say. Like, so you may quote unquote won, but at what cost?
The throne is a curse. The throne is a curse. Robert Baratheon got the throne, and then suffered. And Daenerys held the throne for a very long time and then died. Like the throne is not. I mean, nobody's happy on the Iron Throne. Nobody.
Yeah, I agree. Make sure if you want, you could definitely ask Quinn a question. You can call in. All right, we have the call in. It's a call-in show. So make sure you call in. We got all these people, over 350 people watching right now. We need people to call. Let's get the call in 781-990-8509. You see it on the bottom. Better call Tony. 781-990-8509. Make sure you call in. I know David Lightbringer is calling. He likes to call in. It's in the chat and everything, and going across the crawl and everything else. Melissa Moore is like, it is Quinn. What are you talking about, me or him? She's going, that's the picture guy who took the picture with me right there.
David Lightbringer says, and then Aegon's prophecy puts even more burden on the king, which goes back to my problem with Viserys. You know that like a strong Valyrian bloodline is required, and yet you're marrying Alicent Hightower. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, so dealing with that prophecy and everything else of the White Walkers, do you like that spin that they put that in there? I mean, we've heard George R. R. Martin kind of dabble with that, but do you actually like it? And do you like the way they're actually using the cat's paw dagger in the show and bringing it, making it something that you could tie to Game of Thrones?
Well, in regard to the prophecy, I do like it because it explains, just canonically, if you look at the books, it explains so much of the actions of like the kings, the Targaryen kings. Like it explains Aegon, and it explains Egg Targaryen and like how he got obsessed with dragons all of a sudden and they started looking for dragons and ended up burning Summerhall. It explains Rhaegar Targaryen starting a war because he thought he was going to birth the prince that was promised. So it fills in a lot of like the gaps in the lore and adds a clear, solid explanation. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. And as far as the cat's paw dagger, that's something that I missed. Can you explain that to me a little bit more?
The cat's paw dagger is what Arya used to kill the Night King. But if you look, the king has it with him every time you see it. It's on his belt. He's got the cat's paw dagger just hanging out with him. Every time you see Viserys, he's got that dagger on his belt. Like he's carrying it around. And like there's a scene in the trailers that you're seeing. I know it's in the trailers that they put it in the fire and it has like runestone, like some type of markings when it lights up. Kind of
so that's a retcon.
Yeah, kind of like the Ring of Power.
Okay. That's in the trailer. Okay, they're obviously trying to fix some issues with Game of Thrones, and I think they're also going to try and do some things with this Jon Snow show that try and fix some of the issues because they're trying to fix the canon. But there's only so much you can do. I guess it's fine. I mean, that's the best they can do to try and like fill in the gaps. But it is kind of a cheap retcon. Like we know what actually went down with Game of Thrones, so yeah, I get it. So they're trying to say that this dagger was special in some way and that it had Valyrian runes on it. And that's why Arya was able to kill the Night King or whatever.
Yes. That's what they think they're trying to do with it.
So it was like the hot potato dagger, and whoever ended up with the potato in their hands, they were the one that was going to kill the Night King. But I agree with what Quinn's saying. They're going to try, especially if Snow comes to air, they're definitely going to try to use that show to repair people's opinions and use some elements if they can connect with the show. I think you'll see that more probably in seasons 2 and 3 now that the show is a success and getting good fanfare. It's what Star Wars did after Mandalorian season 1. They knew that they were getting good, so then they could put all the Star Wars junk in there in the future seasons. But Tony, we do have our first voicemail of the night.
So you ask and you give it. All right, So let me ask for someone to become a member.
This is area code 830.
Hey, what's up, guys? Teflon, Phil, and Quinn, man. Good to see you on there. Hey, listen, man, it's my very first time calling in. Been a long time fan. Just want to say, love you, Teflon. Love you, Quinn, Phil, all you guys. I got a question. For you. Do you think by the end of the season we're gonna see? I guess it's the battle over Breakneck Bay, all right, with Aemon and Rhaegar. Just a question. Love you guys.
Good luck. So, what battle is he talking about?
I don't know. It's been a while since I read Fire and Blood.
I think he's talking about Aemon and Daemon.
Yeah, Rhaegar. I got confused when he.
Yeah, I think that's what I think he means. The battle of Aemon and and Daemon. So I won't go into any spoilers with it, but I would say it's impossible not to do it. It has to be done. I think there may be a couple of battles that they do skip out of, but not that. That's something that has to happen. Look, we got a new member right there. Thank you so much.
You
Nice.
asked and you
LCH
received.
Jeremy. Thank you so much, LCH Jeremy. What do I say? LCH Jeremy. He's the dude who's on the list.
Yeah, he's on the list.
He's on the list. LCH Jeremy, the new up-and-coming star of A Song of Ice and Fire. Subscribe to the Don Tony Teflon. Thank you so much, and congratulations that you got put on that list, man. Mazel tov. And yes, I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood, so I say that a lot. But no spoilers. But yes, they that's a battle that has to happen. There's certain things they have to do, you know what I mean, and everything else, and the other things that they can't. That I think that they'll skimp out on it and just get through. But that one, without a shadow of a doubt, will go down. There's no way around it. And getting back to the Cat's Paw Dagger and Arya real quick, just to wrap this whole thing up. That won't happen in the books. It won't be the Cat's Paw Dagger. It will be Dark Sister. I think that's how Arya will retrieve Dark Sister. I think George R. Martin confirmed already that Dark Sister is in the cave with Blood Raven. I think Bran will escape with Dark Sister there. And then I think if Arya would now, I'm not saying that Arya is going to kill the Night King or anything else like that, because there is rumors that she was supposed to be killed off the season that Ed Sherrington was there, because Ed Sherrington said that was his gift, their gift to her, was having him on there because she's a big fan of his, and they were going to kill her off that season. That's what he said. He specifically came out and said that.
So wait, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
No, so if that's true, didn't David and Dan say they decided to have Arya kill the Night King in like season 6 or something?
Yeah, he's lying.
So does it mean they were lying? Who's lying?
Someone's
Who's
lying.
lying?
Dan and Dave's lying.
David and Dan, I feel like.
I would have to say they're lying. Ed Sheeran, there's no reason for him to come out with that.
No reason. No
reason for him to say. And he said it was their gift to Maisie Williams, because she was a fan, to have him on there so that she could be him, because that was supposed to be her last season. For some reason, they got out of it and they said, you know what? And I think these batches, and I'm telling you about Dan, I don't want to get into a rant about them, but I really think that fans have predicted the ending, and they did not want someone to be right. They just said, you know what, we're gonna so what you predicted, this is the way it's supposed to be, we're gonna change it up. F you. Ha ha ha. How do you like that? I really think that they did that purposely just for that reason, and they're that petty.
Subvert expectations. That's what they said. And then they had no idea what they were doing. They didn't understand the universe that they were like writing a show for. Like they just did not get it. And
it really shows. When you write for something like, let's just say, with Quinn counts, Dune, Lord of the Rings, right? Game of Thrones. These fans ain't playing, right? Yeah, Star Wars. Like, these fans are not playing. These fans is invested. You know what I mean? Any people who are willing to get tattoos and stuff on their body is vested, right? And these are all fandoms that people got tattoos of. So when you do something like that, you got to get it right. You can't leave, because they're gonna nitpick every little thing that they're looking for anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The first couple of seasons, I didn't hear any complaints in Game of Thrones. Everyone loved it. And then all of a sudden it just started straying, and that's when it got a little bit crazy. All right, no more about Dan and Dave. Let's go back to House of Dragon. Again, this is a
we do have a couple more voicemails whenever you're ready, Tony.
All right, yeah. We give the number again. If you want to call in, make sure you call in. What up to the Westerosi Ninja? I see you in there. Call in 781-990-8509. If anyone from Daiwo City want to jump in, let me know. All right, go ahead.
Here's area code 404.
Yo, what's going on? This is Marcus Jones from Atlanta calling in. Glad to see everybody today. I wanted to go back to the Aegon prophecy being in House of the Dragon for a minute. I really like that too, agreeing with Quinn, because it really sets the precedent for why House Targaryen is so important to the story, because I feel like in Game of Thrones, with Daenerys being one of the last Targaryens in the story, it kind of made you feel like House Targaryen wasn't important anymore, and the fact that this prophecy was shared in this show shows you how important it is for a Targaryen to be in the story, no matter what, because they are the person that is going to bring the fire that is going to help save the world from the others beyond the wall. And so I think that really ties in together nicely with putting House Targaryen at the forefront. And that's honestly why, to me, they're the most interesting house, because they do bring, the magic to the story, along with the Starks, but the Targaryens are very important. I'm really glad they put that in the show, because it just shows people that, hey, Daenerys being, the last person, the mother of dragons, that is significant, because she is going to use those dragons to save the world in the books. I really wish that they would have did that in the show, but in the books, that is what she's going to do. And I'm so excited to see that happen if George keeps everything his way in the books, which I hope he does. So thanks so much for letting me call in, and excited for episode 3 tonight. And I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Quinn, go.
Thank you. Great.
I think there's
cool.
Well, I was going to say, I think there is another potential reason why they put that prophecy in this show, because we know at the end of Game of Thrones, when Daenerys had nothing to do with fighting the Night King. Daenerys didn't kill the Night King. She wasn't even on the throne when the Night King supposedly died. So I think that if they're putting this prophecy in the show and they're trying to make all these connections, and they're going to do this Jon Snow show, if they really invested in it, maybe the Night King is just not dead. Maybe the war is not over. And maybe the dragon took Daenerys to Volantis, and the Red Priest brought her back from the dead, and she's going to be like some fire queen or something. And then the real battle is going to happen. You know what I mean? Because it's clear they're trying to set up things. They're trying to put things in place to kind of fix Game of Thrones and retcon it. But just having that prophecy in there by itself does not help fix it really at all, because it makes the prophecy not true. There was no Targaryen on the throne. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know.
You're correct. I mean, I was on David Lightbringer. I sound like the Dragon Demands. David Lightbringer. I was on David Lightbringer. Wait a second. I was on Dave's channel, and we talked a little bit about this. And on this channel, I said that the way I would do it would be, I would have Drogon grab Daenerys's body. We already seen him drop it on the pillar where we seen the White Walkers, and have her be resurrected as the Night Queen. And then her touch the dragon, turn him, and then Johnson. Then it's all Jon Snow's fault. You could have killed him, but no, it's your fault. You killed her. Now she's back. Now she's upset, and now she's coming for your ass specifically. And then make this dragon actually shoot ice. All right, no blue fucking flames. Like, we need some ice, so it flies overhead. That's what George R. R. Martin says. Ice dragon
like
just flying overhead freezes everything. Then they shoot it. Just fly over you and it freezes everything. We need to have that. And then if you're gonna end it to a point where it's like, there's no beating her. Jon Snow has to sacrifice and give himself to her to become the new Night King, and they both jump on the dragon and they go off, and that's the end of that. That's how I would do it if I was them, and I think that would make people not happy, but it would be better than what they left it as.
Because the ending of Game of Thrones does not feel like an ending. It is not satisfying. Like even if you were gonna do this ending where it's like people die and it's kind of tragic, an ending needs to be sad. You need to be able to at the end of something, right? Game of Thrones didn't give us that. And maybe they're trying to fix it, and we'll see what they do.
We're still waiting to exhale on that one 100%. Mike Knight, thank you for the super chat. Listen, I've been out here since season 1. Just want to say I love all you people. Let's go. Thank you so much. We love you too. Thank you for rocking with us all this way. We got over 400 people in here rocking. Make sure you hit that thumbs up for your boy. Let's get to 400 likes, and that way we can get more people up in here and everything else. We can go on for days talking about Game of Thrones.
I mean, our next voicemail, we'll have this be the last point out, because we did inspire a voicemail about this. But here we go.
Hey, you guys are talking about how House of the Dragon and maybe even the Jon Snow show, or they're going to use that to fix the canon. But like, my question is, why did HBO let it get to that point anyway? Like, I know the show was popular, it was making money, but they wanted more seasons. Like, why did David and Dan have so much power? Like, HBO couldn't just like fire them and make 10 more seasons of the OG Game of Thrones, or what?
It's a good question. I don't know if they had a contract in place, and they were those guys that they wanted to leave the party, but they still wanted to have fun at the party. So they they didn't leave and invite Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould over to finish the show properly or something. They didn't do that. They stuck around and went to work every day like this and collect their paycheck. So I don't know if they had something in their contract that said that no one else could take over or something.
I haven't seen their contracts, but I think they probably had a really good contract. I bet their contracts got redone after season 3, like that big blow up. And I think it boils down to, if I'm going to be honest, it boils down to vanity, in my opinion. Because HBO wanted new writers. HBO offered, they had the money for it. They said new writers, because HBO really wanted more episodes a season. They wanted more seasons. But David and Dan didn't want to. They don't really care about fantasy stories, and that's the key here. And also, they're so arrogant and so full of themselves that they don't want somebody else's name on the finale of Game of Thrones if it's not them. They see it as like, we're geniuses. We've created this huge show and we want to end it, right? So they're not they don't respect the story enough to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me hand this off to people that care more than I do, as long as their name is on it. That's my personal opinion. I don't know them, but that's what I think.
I think too, and they are very petty. Kelly Johnson, the creator from Primal, should redo GOT. I'm not familiar with Primal, but maybe so. But thank you for the super chat. I would say they are definitely petty, and is one example. I'll give you a couple examples, but one example I can give you is they came out and said specifically that they made the character of Jon Snow have a small penis because Kit Harington had too much fame, and they wanted to bring him down a notch. They came out and said it. So that's why if you see in the show, you always hear Tormund talk about Jon Snow having a small dick, and you hear it pop up, right? The reason why that happened is because they said specifically that Kit Harington had too much fame and they wanted to bring him down a notch. That's how petty they are, right?
Very bizarre.
They're the showrunners. They're the showrunners and everything else, right? They could have just, so what? He's got fame. But no, I got to bring him down a notch, so I make his character have a small dick. That's what they did. That's fact. They did that. Another example is they tried Jason Momoa, right? Who was it? Dan's the bigger guy, not the small guy. And they played the game where you put your hands out and you flip the hands over and get your hands smacked like that. You know, like that. And he thought he was, oh, yeah, Jason Momoa, let's play this game. Jason Momoa smacked the shit out of his hands. He almost broke his hands. His hands were all swelled up because he thought he could beat Jason Momoa. This is who these guys are. Oh, I'm going to fuck Jason Momoa up. Jason Momoa smacks, almost broke his hands. Like he had to stop working for a while because Jason Momoa fucked his hands up so bad. This is who they are. It just shows you who they are and everything else. That those are facts about them and stuff. But since we're talking about showrunners right now, we're transitioning this into House of the Dragon. It was just announced that Miguel Sapochnik is leaving House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
All right. Miguel Sapochnik is the guy, to me, that made every battle in Game of Thrones worthwhile. After they weren't, in the beginning, they weren't showing battles. Like, you know, in the first battle, Whispering Woods and all that, the King of the North, they didn't show the battle, and you seen the battlefield after that. When Miguel, and the only battle they had that before that was the Battle of Blackwater, which was very good.
Yeah.
After that,
George R. R. Martin wrote that episode.
He did. That's why it's the #1 episode of the show. Then you have them guys come in there and they take over the battle scenes. I think his first battle they used was the one for Castle Black, and then the Battle of the Bastards, and all that.
And Hardhome and stuff
and Hardhome too. I'm sorry, I skipped over that one. So this guy was the battle master. Like all the battles he did looked amazing. Now knowing that there's so many great battles in this show to come, are we somewhat afraid that he is not going to be there to direct or supervise over these battles?
To some extent, but I don't know if HBO would let that slide. I feel like HBO would step in and be like, "Hey, we got to do these battles right." But I don't know if you don't have that. A lot of times you don't have that specific creative force to drive a particular aspect of something, then it's going to fall flat. Anytime there's turmoil within a show this early on, I think it's a bad sign just in general. The fact that he's leaving and we don't know what's behind the scenes. He's saying he's just exhausted, but there could be more than that. Maybe there's some other conflict. It could very well affect the show. Yeah, or even if the battle sequences aren't bad per se, they could be different from Game of Thrones. There could be something that's fundamentally different, so it's just like not the same style and it feels different or off. I'm hoping that they keep it together, but no one can tell, I guess.
I'm not going to say like the sky is falling on it, but it's it's disappointing, and I almost wish it's one of those things like wait to tell me the bad news. Like I almost wish they waited until the end of the season to tell us this. But it does seem like what I'm hoping is that he's been a part of the foundation of this series. This isn't like other shows where they basically have the sketch out of what this whole series is going to be. So maybe he helped in the planning stages for some of the big action set pieces. I don't like how the language is of it, where it's basically he's saying I'm done completely with the Thrones universe, where I think he was asked if he'd come back and do something in the future. He's like, no, I'm done for a while. I don't see coming back to this universe in the foreseeable future. So I'm not sure I necessarily like that. But I feel like Ryan Condal is the person that holds together the lore and the scripts and all of that. So that's also a very big high point of this season. But to Quinn's point, the action's still going to be good. HBO is going to pay for it, but we might get certain battles this season that feel a certain way and feel inspired by the Battle of the Bastards or Hardhome or some of those other big battles that he did. And it might just feel different next season in a different style. And yeah, I'm slightly disappointed because he was a selling point for this series going into it because of his style of direction. And to your point, Tony, there's some big spectacle to come yet in this story, and it would be amazing to see his take on this. But hopefully maybe he'll come back and it's just burnout now and he needs a break for a season and then he'll return.
Yeah, when it comes down to the actual lore of the show, I'm not worried about that 100%. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about that. I'm sure that is what it's supposed to be. It's going to be Ryan Condal's got that down pat. That's good. But it's not going to stray from the books. George R. R. Martin's in there. It's going to keep going. That's fine. I'm cool with that. What actually the running of the show, maybe he was grooming Ryan to get to this point, and now he feels all right. We did the first season. He could take over. He knows what he's doing. That's fine. I'm not saying that. I'm specifically talking about the battles because that's what a lot of people watch it for. When it comes down to are these battles. Epic battles. People want to see epic battles. People love them. That's what they watch this genre for. Epic duels, sword fights, and everything else. And I'm saying this dude, I mean, I can go. The Battle of the Blad Bastards is amazing. Hardhome is probably better than that, right? And wouldn't even say that there was one-on-one sword fights in Hardhome, but just the feeling that you got when you watched Hardhome was like they can't win. When you were done watching that episode, like, yo, they can't beat these dudes. They can't win. He was able to convey that emotion from that battle. Will the next people be able to do that? And that's what scares me about it. Will they be able to actually get you to feel that emotion? Because I can watch Hardhome right now because it was just well shot and everything about it. When you just watch Hardhome, when you see them floating off and the Night King was just standing there with his hands up, and you see Jon Snow like yo,
that was a moment.
Like yo, they ain't gonna beat these dudes.
Tony, I would argue that's the climax point of everything with the White Walkers went downhill after Hardhome. I'm not saying it didn't have a few moments here and there, but that was as frightening and as overwhelming as they've seen. And then we flash to all of them sitting across a lake with the Hound throwing rocks at him or something. You know, a season and a half later. It's exactly. They feel completely weak. It's like a boss that you fight in a video game, a mini boss, and then you fight them later in the game, and they're just one of the foot soldiers that you fight. It completely. Hardhome was the perfect example. They should have always felt that way moving forward.
I'll say this about House of the Dragon. I didn't know this until kind of recently, but one of the directors, Greg Yaitanes, I think his name is also the director. Was the director for the Children of Dune miniseries from the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day, which is like super awesome. It's like the best. It set records for the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. But yeah, I didn't know that, and I just think that's super cool that he did that one. With James McAvoy and several other people.
Tony, whenever you're ready, we have a handful of voicemails.
Right, let's go through again. If you want to call, please call in. The number's right on the crawl, and it is it's 781-990-8509. Make sure you subscribe to the Don Tony Teflon's channel. Fill the issues guide. Quinn ideas of Ice and Fire. You know the links in the description. If you want to become a member of my channel, help a brother out, you know how to do so. Go on the homepage, click that membership button. You get special stuff. Listen, I hit a certain amount of members and you join a certain level. I said that I would give away my book, right? That's what I told you. I'm going to up the ante. If you hit the tier, the boss tier level, boss tier may be too big, but if you go, we'll go underboss level. Any underboss who ends underboss for 1 month, I'll give you a Quinn book. I'll give you a Quinn book. I'll put it right in the thing, and you get one of Quinn's book. I'll send it right to you, no charge from you. All right, that's how I get down. Become a member and do that. Also, I'm going to have some interviews jumping off soon on here, and if you're a member, your question is going to get through. So let's just try to get that popping. All right. That being said, we're paying some bills. Let's go to it. 473 people watching. Let's get that thumbs up. Let's try to hit 750 likes for this video right there. Let's go.
Here we go. 732.
Nice.
Hey guys, this is Ziggs. I'm watching the show currently. Love the show. So, quick question for Quinn: how do you feel about Christopher Walken being cast as Shaddam IV? I know it's a Dune question, but I'm just curious how you feel.
You can answer that, Quinn. Of course, you're here.
I'll answer that super quick. So I've talked about this a little bit before. I think Christopher Walken is an interesting choice, not necessarily like who I would have picked initially going into it, but I really think that Denis Villeneuve knows what he's doing with the Dune movies, and if he sees something in Christopher Walken that fits his vision of how the Emperor should be, then I have no reason why I think Christopher Walken couldn't do that. And I also think Christopher Walken, though, he has a specific type that people like to see him as, but I think he's a very talented actor and he can pull off the role 100%.
If you watch him in Severance, right? And
Severance, right?
You see, that's a different type of Christopher Walken than you would normally see, right? I think a lot of people get him confused with the King of New York. All right, I think people see him like that, which is one of my favorite movies when I was younger. You know what I mean? Him, Lawrence Fishburne, and everything else, but he's more than that. I would definitely go with that. Let me get to the super chat real quick, and unless you want to comment on the Dune casting, Phil.
I just think Christopher Walken's a multi-talented dude, and he can do anything. And he's a surprising talent from the Deer Hunter to Severance. He constantly impresses. So it's cool to see him get more high-profile work.
Fernando says, why didn't Viserys just offer his daughter's hand to Corlys' son Laenor after he had announced he would marry Alicent as a compromise?
Why didn't Viserys do a lot of things? Right? why isn't Rhaenyra engaged to Daemon, which is just like the obvious choice? Why didn't he do a lot of things? More cowbell.
Yeah.
More cowbell.
We need more cowbell. Speaking of some more cowbell, here's area code 916.
Hello, this is Audrey from California, where it's super hot right now. I'm glad to see all my favorites, Teflon, Issues Guy, and Quinn. I'm a longtime viewer of yours from way back when Game of Thrones first started. But anyway, my question is, I would like to hear each of your opinions on how you would compare Otto Hightower to Tywin Lannister. Do you consider that they would be equals? Do you think their strategies are similar? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go quickly first. I think he's more akin to Littlefinger, as he was talked about on my stream, middle finger, low tower. So that's about what I think about it. Quinn, how about you?
I agree with that. And also Tywin would eat Otto Hightower. He would eat him alive for breakfast, dinner, and lunch, and it wouldn't even be a thing. I think Tywin is on a whole different level than most of these guys, as far as
scheming and
just how capable he is and how he gets what he wants. He's just Otto does not compare. I agree with you. He's more like a Littlefinger, where it's he thinks he's doing all these little tricks, but if you put him next to Tywin, it doesn't compare.
Littlefinger is doing those tricks. Let's give him Littlefinger.
He is doing those tricks.
In the books, let's give him some credit. Littlefinger is doing this thing. So I would say there's two type of people, right? There's people like Littlefinger who scheme, and try to get there. You see Littlefinger, you see Varys and all of them. And then there's warriors that they show in there. Some people who go on the battlefield, Robert Baratheon, who go out there and seek glory. Tywin is both. And I think that's what people don't take away. Tywin's a battlefield commander, right? He'll go in the battle himself and fight. So he's a general like Stannis Baratheon who can call out battle plans. He'll actually go inside the battle and get dirty in the battle and fight in the battle himself. And he's smart enough that he can scheme with the best of them and play the political game. That's a triple threat that he's there. Otto is one of those things. He's a schemer like Littlefinger. He ain't going in no battle. He can't command no battle. We just seen this battle strategy on the bridge. There was no strategy, right? Just show up. What are you gonna do? We're gonna show up there. We're gonna show up there with 20 when this guy's got 350 motherfuckers up
I'll
there.
be the dragon.
And the dragon, we gotta show up. So you see his battle strategy. So I think that's something that people don't underestimate about Tywin is his battle strategy, and he's a field commander and everything else besides all that. So he's more, a man's man type guy. So there's no way around Tywin. Dude, Tywin's vicious. Tywin is a vicious because he's vicious. He drowned a whole bunch of people, man, who went into the holes and tried to hide. He took the river and put it right in there and drowned them all. Everyone, women, children, everyone dead. That's the difference. Tywin is like the ends justify the means. It doesn't matter. Like if you talk about Daenerys situation and Daenerys when she was with King's Landing and all that, and Tyrion was like, oh, diplomacy, you got to do this. There have been no diplomacy with Tywin. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to burn everyone, and then whatever's left, you're going to be subjugated to me. And I'm going to rule with fear. You know what I mean? Over respect. You're going to respect me because you scared me. You know what I mean?
Tywin's best line in Game of Thrones is when he says, burn the villages, burn the farm. Show them what it means to choose the wrong side. That's how he thinks about it. You're not on my side, okay? Goodbye.
You're dust. Yeah, you're dust.
Yeah, you got to go. So I think that's the difference between Tywin. I think Otto Hightower is no warrior. Tywin is a warrior, and he has that warrior mentality. And when you have that warrior mentality, you're not playing around. And I think that's what it is. You know what I mean? Alexander Wilson, thank you for the super chat. The actress who plays Massaria is the worst actor the main cast of guy. I am wrong because that accent was right. All right, so I'm going to say she is not the worst actor by far in both of those shows. So I can't agree with that. I can name people who are worse in Game of Thrones than her. Her accent sounds like Shay. I think that's what she's trying to do. And she's trying to sound like Shay. Maybe she watched Shay, and maybe they told her this is what they gave a lot of these characters lines before they got the audition. And maybe she was given Shay's line. Corlys Valyrian was given Tywin Lannister lines, right, to read for his role. So maybe she was given lines of Shay. Yeah. So maybe that's the way she's trying to play it. I am not going to say she's where I think she's pretty good. She looks great naked. So I got no problems with her.
Yeah. My thing is, I think her motivation and her body language and her acting choices are fine. And this is I'm not a very good actor, but I've done acting before. Sometimes you need a director or someone that's listening to tell you. Someone needed to take Christian Bale aside in the Dark Knight movies and go, the voice isn't working, buddy, in the final two movies. And no one did that. And how much of that do you put on the actor and how much do you put that on the directors that are directing the actors to put certain vocal cadences on? I think it's not her acting. It's the dialect coach or whatever didn't do her right. And hopefully it will improve as time goes on.
Peter Baelish was worse. Peter Baelish sounded different
voice.
Season to season. Season to season, he tried something new. He just kept going with it. And then they tried to work it in somehow. Well, he's just trying to adapt. No, he didn't know what to sound like. First he said this, people didn't like this, so he went with that. He tried this, he tried that. That's the worst accent I ever heard. OTDA, 29 likes from 3. We have almost 500 people watching right now. We should be at least at 400 likes.
Please hit the like button.
Let's get it's free to hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's get those likes up at least to 400, 450, man. But first, let's get to 400. We're at 300. Come on, people. you can do better than this. Let's get this thing popping a sec.
I'm
How
sorry.
do you feel about that? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think a lot of the characters in House of the Dragon sound like Game of Thrones characters. Like the Maester guy, I forget his name. He just sounds like Maester Lewin to me. I don't know. I feel like a lot of them just sound like that. But the character, I know we've only seen her in one episode, but so far I'm not feeling this character at all.
Okay.
I don't remember if she's in the book or not. I haven't read it in like 2 years. But she seems too Shay-like to me. Game of Thrones has a lot of characters where it'll just be this woman whose like purpose is to exist alongside a man and just be there kind of. And I really hope that's not where they're going with this character and that she has more depth to her. But so far, I don't really care about the character very much. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the book Lady Misery, the White Worm. She has much more bigger role to play. So we'll see if they give her that and everything else, and it goes down like that. But I like the actress, and I think she's doing a good job of what she's been given. What have we seen her do? I mean, she hasn't done anything. She's in the brothel, taking it from the back. Nothing wrong with that. All right. And she's on the bridge. And I thought that when she was in the scene with Damon on there, and he was telling, and going back to the last episode, and she's like, listen, dude, you over here playing games, man. You know I can't have no goddamn babies. And you telling these people I gotta have a baby. That could get me assassinated. They could just kill me thinking that I'm pregnant with your kid. You can joke around and they ain't touching you. You're the king's brother. I'm not. Right? So I thought that she held her own in that scene with them. I thought she did a good job, but I don't think she's been given a lot. And hopefully she gets more and we could see her chops. But I did like the scene with her basically telling Damon, like, Damon, I'm not happy with you. I told Damon, no, Damon, I tried to be, you're making me scared. I don't want to be scared. I came here to feel protected. And I already had all that chopped out of me. I ain't having no baby.
Tony, you kind of sounded like Eddie. What have you done for me?
That's what I feel about it. That's exactly the way I feel about it. Eddie, what have you done for me lately, Eddie?
Area code 857.
We're good, guys. Quinn, I'm just happy to see you back into, the fandom, like fully, I guess. So I'm like a Game of Thrones watcher who watched it when season 8 was being made. So I watched it for like a year and a half. And I just basically watched everything back. And I see I'm a big fan of you, Quinn, and I'm glad you're liking House of the Dragon. I would see your tweets and it would piss me off because I'm like, I'll give it a chance. But I see, I would be mad if I was waiting year for year for a TV show or something that I liked a lot and it became ass at the end. So I understand how everybody was mad. I still think Game of Thrones is top tier television, and I hope House of the Dragon tops it. But I'm just glad to see you guys all together. 7 more weeks of greatness. Let's get it, fellas. Now be easy.
Thank you, my friend.
I just want to say that, never take my tweets too seriously. If I'm tweeting something and it seems like I'm really angry, I'm not. I'm just opinionated on Twitter. I just say something and then it pisses people off, and I'm like, oh shit. I don't know.
All right, so Alexander Wilson says the actress that played Melisandre is hinting that she will appear in the show, probably season 2. How will they reintroduce her? Now, so I didn't see any hint from her saying that she would. Thank you for the super chat, truly, but saying that she would be in the show. So what I did see was that not Scarlett Johansson, Jesus Christ, that
Elizabeth Olsen.
What's her name?
Elizabeth Olsen?
Elizabeth Olsen could be casted as a role for season 2. All right. And people thinking that she would play a young version of Melisandre.
You don't need a young version of Melisandre, though.
Yeah,
it should just be the same actress. It should literally be the same. If you're going to bring Melisandre, bring back the exact same actress. She's beautiful. She doesn't need to be younger. Just bring back. She's ageless anyway.
Exactly. The whole thing about it is that she is glamored to look that way, right? Even if they brought Melisandre back, she's $200 old, right? So it ain't like she a young version of $200. $200 is $200.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you see her in a regular skin, she's gonna look bad. The form that she took was the form that she liked, the glamour she liked to look like. So if you were gonna bring her back, you bring her back, same actress, change it the hairstyle. 2, there's no sense of bringing it back. It's not going to be her. You know what I mean? If she's playing, I just did a video of who I believe she's playing. You can go check out that video. She is not going to play Melisandre. There's no, I know a lot of people want it, but there's no sense of having Melisandre in this right now. It doesn't make anything. Go right ahead.
Can I just say the only reason people think that is because she's the Scarlet Witch and she's associated with fire. So it's just stop. That's not Melisandre.
It's association from the Scarlet Witch, totally.
Yeah.
JTS616, thank you for the super chat. So just thank you guys for an awesome streams and community you have all created. Also, was that Sunfire's egg that Rhaenyra got back? Was that Sunfire's egg? I know a lot of people have speculated on the egg. Sunfire's eggs is the same color of the scales of Sunfire. So I wouldn't think it would be for that reason. If they're going that much into it, I that would be the reason why I wouldn't say it and everything else.
Yeah, I didn't think much about it. I'd have to rewatch the scene and study the egg. I didn't look too closely.
I wonder if Rhaenyra would have noticed though. If she was like, "Wait, this is the wrong egg. What are you doing? Give me the right egg." Or I don't know. So I don't know.
I don't think that was a good enough reason. Like all of a sudden he got upset because he took his dead son's the egg that was supposed to go to his dead son. He took that, and that got him upset to go up there. So if he would have took a different egg, it would have been okay.
Yeah, just a random egg.
Yeah, because it seemed like it was that one egg. He took my dead son's egg, that motherfucker, and that's what set him off. So he would just went up there and just grabbed a different egg. It would have been all right. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been bad. Alexander Wilson, the actress hinted in an Instagram premiere during a show that she would make an appearance. I didn't see that. I'm not saying she didn't, Alexander Wilson. Thank you very much.
I'm sure she'd love to make an appearance.
What I did see her put out was that she said, "Hey, Melisandre is still alive in this timeline."
Right. She's hoping for it. Yeah, she's trying to manifest it.
Like she was like, "Hey, you know, I'm still alive up in here. If you want to throw me up in here." That's what I seen her put something in there like that. I didn't see her put, you know, hey, this is what it was and everything else. But I will say that I did a video, you guys can check it out back in the day, that the actor who played the Night King, who didn't even take the sword off his back, he put out a whole thing that the Night King was still alive. Right. And I did a video on his whole thing saying the Night King was still alive and everything else. So if that's the case, maybe you see some of that in the Jon Snow. But if you want to go look at it, it's a video I did. It's called The Night King is Still Alive. I think it's something like that. I put out there, but he was saying that the Night King didn't die. He was still alive. But you know,
Tony, here's another special voicemail.
All right.
Well, hello, boys. This is Old Man, and I just wanted to compliment the young gentleman, Quinn. His book, Portrayals, is really, really a breakthrough for representation of old ladies, wise old ladies, and I really appreciate that and wanted to pass along my regards. Thank you. I think that's all. Have a good.
Love you, old man. You need old man that's got to take a lodgings, maybe a Ludens. You know what I mean? The wild cherry ones. I used to love those.
Yeah, the Smith brothers or something. Those cherry.
Yeah, you know, stop smoking so much, old man. Like,
yeah, you know, those Ludens. Those shits weren't goddamn cough drops. I don't care what anyone says. Those shits was candy. Because I used to eat those shits when I was little. I know everybody.
Are you talking about the one that it came in like a little box?
Yeah, a little box of Ludens, the wild cherry one. Yeah. Shit, cough drops in my ass. That shit was candy.
They were better than Lifesavers. They really were. They were tasty as hell.
I know candy when I taste it. But quick, so let me ask you this question because I didn't have a chance to. I did an interview with the actor Steve Toussaint. You know, he plays Lord Corlys Valyrian. If you haven't checked out that, please check it out on my channel. There was a lot of controversy with the casting of this man. We've seen all this, right, and everything else. So how do you feel about this man's portrayal of this character so far?
I think he's fantastic. There's absolutely not a thing wrong with his portrayal. I think he's really good. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I mean, this reaction, especially when it comes to, A Song of Ice and Fire, George R. Martin is still alive and he's like directly involved with the show, and he's fine with Black actresses and actors playing Valyrian characters. He's totally fine with it. So I feel like the fandom should be fine with it. It's the same phenomenon with Neil Gaiman's new Sandman show. He's very close to it. He's very involved with the casting. And yet people are literally complaining to him about his decisions to cast certain people in his own show. So I think the Corlys Valyrian actor is fine. Everybody's really good in the show. So I don't see a problem with him. I think he's great.
Yeah, I think
except his wig looks bad. They need to fix his wig. That's the thing. Give the wig. The dreads don't have any weight. The dreads need some weight.
Yeah, when you compare his dreads to the Walking Dead black man with dreads, and did you see what you watched the Walking Dead? Ezekiel, are you familiar with that?
I have seen The Walking Dead, but I have not watched it recently.
He's the dude that talks to a tiger. If you saw that,
yeah, black dude. He has dreads. I think maybe Ezekiel's is a little better. A little, and I'm sure that budget's not up there. I think they'll get it right. You know what I mean? I think that first season. I think they will get it right. I don't think anything, but I think when you're just dealing with him as an actor, I think he's the standout actor of the show so far. Now, other people may have different opinions. Let's go around the horn right now. Who do you think is the standout actor of this series so far? From what we see, only seen 2 episodes, right? So it's early. A lot of people are going to check. A lot of people loving Patty Constantine and everything. Who do you think the standout actor is so far?
I think it's 3 for me. It's Daemon, Corlys, and Rhaenyra. Those 3 are stand out a little bit for me.
For me, the standout for me. I mean, I also have 3, I guess. I think Viserys is doing a very good job. Yeah. Corlys Valyrian is doing a very good job, and Daemon is really captivating on screen. I really enjoy it every time he shows up. I'm a big Doctor Who fan too. So yeah, I wasn't sure about him when they first announced it. I was like, Doctor Who, really? But now I think he's really good. I like the look, and I think he's doing good.
There was a lot of people who weren't sure about him, weren't sure he had the looks or the chops to actually pull this character off from what we read.
The chops, I knew he had the chops. I didn't know if he was like the right for the role, though. You know what I mean?
I think he's done an amazing job. I will also say Millie Alcock, right? That's her name. Young Rhaenyra. I think she has brought a lot to that role. When you see her playing,
I'm gonna miss her.
It's gonna be bad when she has to go and they have to bring in, Amelia Darcy up in there to take her place. But hopefully they do some more flashbacks, so that you can still see them and stuff. But I think that she has really done a really good job, especially in the small council room when she's like, we got dragons. Let me go ahead and burn these.
That's my favorite part, because he's like, we got dragons, literally. Like, let's go. Like, what are we doing? It's like in Game of Thrones. Every time Dany wanted to use her dragons, there was always somebody else. Don't use them. Don't use them. Like, what? Use the dragons. What are you doing?
What's the point of having them? If you can. Thank you, Fritz Mai, saying getting the hype. Thank you so much for 20 up in the building right there. You know what I mean? So that's Phil's thing.
Excuse me, I'll be right back. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, listen, we have dragons. Why not use them? And that's one thing I think that they haven't done enough of. In Game of Thrones and everything else, you got to start seeing these dragons burn people's asses. I want to see people burnt up. And I want, and I hope, well, I know it's already shot, but I want the dragon fire that there's no when you get burnt, you roll around in the ground. This is dragon fire. If you get lit on fire, you ash. Like, it shouldn't be you can put it out. You can be like
dirty dancing around
and dive in a lake that's only 1 foot and survive it.
Like Sam's older brother and dad. Younger brother and dad.
Yeah, I don't want you rolling around in it. I want you, as soon as it hits your body, it's as if it's the Bible, you turn to a pillar of salt. You are just ash. This is dragon fire. It's a done deal. It's all over. I don't want to see no one flailing around.
No stop, drop, and rolling.
Yeah,
I would love to see. So the dragon fire in Game of Thrones was usually concussive, so it would knock stuff over a bunch. I would love to see stone melt, like Harrenhal, right? So you talk about like how they got cooked inside of the castles. Like, oh god, I want to see stone melt, and maybe like something extra gruesome, like the face melting off and like slawing off and something like that. Like just really like brutal, like someone's face just totally melting off.
I don't know if I should. It's a super chat. Do I take it?
Yeah, Alex Wilson, I will say we're not going to put your super chat on the screen, but thank you so much for it. We just don't want to put anything out there right on the screen that spoil anything, and it's borderline that people might think that. I get what you're thinking, that Tony, but I know you appreciate the super chat from.
I do, but I don't want people thinking. I see it and everybody. I'm not trying to spoil stuff for people, especially and people who may watch this later on and stuff. Listen, we have over 500 people watching this. We gotta have at least 450 likes with 500 people watching. Come on, people. This is not hard to do. All you gotta do is hit that thumbs up. You know what I mean? For your boy. Get it popping and everything else. You're rocking with the Don Tony Teflon. You're rocking with Phil Dishes guy, usual suspect. We got Quinn from Ideas of Ice and Fire. Quinn's Ideas rocking with us and everything else in here. And we're gonna have a bunch more people in here, so that's make sure you hear that. But yeah, the concussive force to me is like a Cyclops IB, right? That's that's what it is, right? Cyclops' I-beams don't burn people. It's like getting punched in the face. It's a physical being when you get hit. And I think they have done that a lot with the dragon fire. And just like you, I would love to see shit melted. If this shit can melt stone and everything else, then a human body, it should be done. Ash. As soon as you get hit, you should just be turning to ash, and that's what I expect to see in this show. Hopefully that's what we see. How about different color fire for different color dragons? Do you want to see that as important to you?
Yeah, I want to see black fire. Like, come on, yeah, that'd be cool. And ice dragon. Just show me an ice dragon. You don't even have to go into it. Just let's see it like flying over somewhere in the distance. Just throw it in. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it would be super important. And I think in a visual spectacle kind of show, things like that matter so much to just add slightly different touches. And to your point, yeah, in the original show, when it was like when Dickon was dying, when Dickon was dying, he just he has time to dance around and sing. I'm only making sure I play that because I know the person that recorded that's in the live chat right now. But we do have another voicemail, or a bunch more voicemails. This is area code 510.
Hello, is this a hotline? This is Vagar. I'm lost again. I'm somewhere out in the narrow sea. I'm not quite sure where. I'm getting kind of hungry. I ate a couple of sailors about a week ago, maybe two. But could you send somebody out? Thank you. Thank you.
Can we get in touch with someone to send somebody out to deal with this?
Please save Vagar. Jesus Christ, Vagar's out there, old as fuck. Yeah, get something going on with
get old man out there to help the situation.
Hashtag save Vagar.
Save Vagar. Yes, please save Vagar. He's surviving over here. The Queen is giving the most deaf vibe.
Why do people always say that to me? I think it's because of the hat. I don't feel like I look like most deaf.
I definitely could see why people would say you give most deaf vibes. You have that same cheekbone structure as him and stuff. You know what I mean? If you look at him when he was younger, you do look similar. You look at him, you do. What is he right now? He's around my age. He's like he's 45 years old, most deaf. You know what I mean? He's around there. So if you look at him when he was younger, when he first came out, and all that, you definitely have that.
The number one comment I get as far as like people comparing my looks to somebody.
That's a good comment to get. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I got people who used to call me Lloyd Banks. I ain't like it so much.
I get called Weird Al all the time.
You are Weird Al. Wait, you're not Weird Al? Wait a second. I'm leaving. I thought you were Weird Al this whole time.
Look in the screen right there. That's me with Weird Al. So to prove we're not the same person, I said to him, "Dad." He goes, "Maybe," and that is the truth. Oh, we have an interesting question here from area code 413.
Yeah, hi guys. I was wondering, what has Viserys done in the past? Because him comparing himself to Corlys is just the better man. So, any of you tell me who is the better man?
Who's the better man?
Viserys is only king because they didn't want his sister to be queen, right? Yeah. Varys is not. Yeah, I mean,
he's just an up-jumped Targaryen who didn't earn anything that he had. Mm-hmm. When you look at, even in last episode, when you hear Corlys talking to Daemon, he's like, listen, we had to scrape, my house had to scrape for everything that we've got. He went out there, he sailed those seas, he won those battles, he got that treasure. He did all that stuff to come and came back and everything with his treasure to bring his house to the glory that it deserves. So if you're going on accomplishments and stuff, I don't think it's even comparable. You know what I mean? At all, you know. And one thing the actor said to me when I interviewed him, he said straight up that he likes that the character Corlys likes Viserys, but he just doesn't feel that he's right for the Iron Throne. He feels it should have been his wife. And if you look at the line of succession, the way succession plays out, there's no doubt it should have been his wife. His wife should have ruled. And that's something that I like too, I want to say, is that his wife had to check, you know, young Rhaenyra. You know, she had to let her know. You know, I love the way she had to put that up because Rhaenyra tried to get a little saucy with her. She's trying to get saucy with her. That's one of my favorite scenes of the show. He said, "Oh, you're the queen who never was. You man, because I'm gonna be queen." She's like, "Bitch, you the queen of cups. What are you talking about?"
Exactly. You in here serving cups to people. Like, come on now.
Yeah, you act.
But I honestly think that moment is what inspired Rhaenyra to go with her dragon and be like, "Okay, I'm gonna handle this stuff." Yeah. So I think she definitely was checking her, but she was also like, "Hey, step your game up. Step your game up." I think she was also like a little bit like trying to push her, you know.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree that what she said made her say, "You know what? I gotta be more queenly. And I gotta prove that I'm more than just a cup server here, you know, cup bearer, I guess is the term and stuff of it. More than that and everything else." Jay Cruz, thank you for the super chat. Obviously, Otto couldn't defeated Daemon and his dragons, but could his forces defeat what?
Oh, that's mean, dude.
Could his forces defeat the Jets? Because you know they're not. Let me tell you something,
dude.
Jay
That's so
Cruz.
mean.
Let me tell you something, Jay Cruz. Look, I didn't read this before, but I seen your name, and I put this on the screen. Let me tell you something, Jake Cruz. This is the last Sunday without football for the next 18 weeks, and when the Jets are 4-0. 4-0. You hear me saying this to you? I'm talking to you, Jake Cruz. I want to see your ass back on this chat right then, all right, Jake? When we 4-0 to start the season, I want to see you back in this chat knowing that the New York goddamn football Jets, that this is our goddamn year. All right? Understand that. This is our year.
Now, Tony, we get a couple of fun messages here to play for a second. This is one for a preview for tonight's episode.
Crab feeder, crab feeder, crab feeder, crab feeder.
That's a little preview for tonight's episode. And this is from Brad from Florida.
They call me Brad Florida, the Baratheon, and we will rise.
And that's awesome. But then we have a real call from the wonderful and amazing Anna.
Teflon, Phil, it's Anna from Red Lipstick Club. I don't know if I've ever been on a call with Quinn, but hey, Quinn, do love the hat. I had to call on you guys because, you know, I do not watch anything surrounding how or GOT or the new show. I know nothing, and it's hilarious, but I still love coming on these shows to talk to all the amazing people on the chat that I have met at the After Dark. Love you all. But I will say I did watch your video about Elizabeth Olsen, and actually it makes me maybe want to watch the show. Honestly, I feel like you should totally be a writer on this show. Like, your comedic timing in that video, I watched the entire video and I was just laughing hysterically, Tony. Like, you just killed it. I feel like so many people love you, why they come back year after year just to chat with you and have a good time. So hopefully everyone's having a great Sunday. I hope you guys are enjoying this show and you're watching it this evening. And I look forward to seeing you guys in another stream. Love you.
Thank you so much, Anna. You know, I got nothing but love for you. You know what I mean? I appreciate you enjoying my video, my new take on that I do, the way I do reviews and stuff like that. I truly appreciate that. You know, I have gotten some backlash from people, but, you know, we got to keep doing what we do. You know why? Because I do it the way I do it. You know why? Because it makes me happy, man. And that's why I review it the way I review my videos. And if it makes somebody else, I say stuff and I make jokes and I say it all in good fun. And hopefully it makes other people understand, feel the same way. And I got to do it the way I feel like doing. I can't just sit here. You got a whole bunch of people doing the technical and everything else, and they'll give you all them breakdowns. I want to be me. I want to be happy when I do it. I want to enjoy doing it. So I'm going to keep
people on the internet always want to criticize people that are creating something. But if you ever met Tony in public, like he's like, you're so just like a group person. You always like lead the group, and it's just like you're fun to be around. Like, you know how to like, I remember like when we did the panels, right, with the YouTuber panel, like you were the one that took the microphone, like, okay, let's organize this. Let's give it to this person and that person. And that just made it so much more fun. And I really like enjoy like even just watching your streams on here sometimes just because of your energy. So like anybody that's complaining can get out.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I try to do the best I can do and everything. I try to do it just to make it fun for everybody and have a good time.
And here's some more love for you, Tony.
Man, I just wanted to say, man, I like your stuff, man. I got on to you from David Lightbringer. I'm just curious on y'all's thoughts about Aegon's dream, and specifically, do you think that ties in at all to that letter from Dorne? Do you think that letter from Dorne has anything to do with his dream, and that's why he said, fuck Dorne? I don't know. Let me know.
Does it have anything to do with the dream? I can't tell you that it does, and I couldn't really tell you that it doesn't. And anything right there. So that would be more theory based and stuff for show purposes. They showed the letter is going to mean something. I'm talking about it's a letter that Otto sent that, I would think, right? That you're talking about, that the one that he sent out there. So I think it means something, but I don't know if it means anything dealing with the White Walkers and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely a something that got left open that possibly could get explored later, but it's hard to tell right now because they're still in the growing ooze right now stages of this series and what else they want to put in there for the television universe aspects.
So what happened with Dorne in last episode? Otto sent a letter to Dorne. I must have like missed that. What are we talking about here?
People asking for that. Will say, yeah, they said they sent out a letter that was sent out, but they didn't show. That's all they showed. And so,
okay, so that could
anything, and it could have just been, I'm saying this is what I do and everything else, but it could have been a situation like that, or it could mean something.
Well, Game of Thrones has done those moments where someone's writing a letter. If you remember, Tywin, I forget who he's talking to, but he's casually writing a letter in one scene, and then that was the letter to Walder Frey, like about the Red Wedding, like that comes back several episodes later. So that's, I don't know.
Look at Miss Duncan, the small. Is this Miss Duncan the tall? This now she's calling herself Miss Duncan the small.
Did she switch it?
Is that? Oh, this. Because I mean, is this her? No. Oh, is it her?
He said, it's probably someone different. Someone different, maybe.
He said that tone video was so good. I translated into Spanish for my coworkers. Thank you so much for doing that.
People in the live chat are saying that letter was to Old Town, so maybe you're talking about something.
All right. The letter to Old Town itself, that one, if you're talking about, I think it's got to tie into it. If you want, does Otto know if there's a Maester conspiracy? I don't think Otto knows about it. I think they're just using him as a point. He's not smart enough to keep his mouth shut. You know what I mean? So I don't think he would know about it. I think if they're doing it behind the scenes. They're using him as a tool.
Yeah, and they don't take anything outside their ranks. If there really is a conspiracy, they're not telling anyone but another Maester the plan, and they're just, as you said, Tony, using these people as on strings from a distance and not disclosing the true plan. Like the
I'm saying he puts his daughter's ass out there. He's not playing.
I was gonna say like the Dominion did with the Tal'Shriar and the
he never did. Like he went there. He told Alicent straight up. He was like, "Listen, girl. You better put your mom's dress on, take your mom's thong, stick that on your ass, girl. Not
Jesus.
Not the gold one because it's got a scent on it. Make sure you use the black motherfucker. The gold one is mine. Get out there in that king's office and go out there and seduce the king. All right, let's look at it and try to be serious about it. Like, is it the right thing? Is Otto to blame at this point? The king has to get married. Is he to blame for pushing his daughter in the best? As a father, you want your kids to be in the best possible position.
He didn't do it for his daughter.
I mean, is he wrong for this?
In this society, there are certain roles that are expected once somebody reaches a certain age, and you can think about that in the modern age however you want. But like for the purposes of this show and this era that it's trying to depict, 15 years old is a grown woman ready to be married in this show, not right now. So just making sure. But anyway, Yeah, he did the right thing from his perspective, right? He wants to ensure like the strength of his line down in the future. His daughter would be queen. Anybody would have done that. If I was the hand of the king and I had a daughter that was living in the castle and the king was without a wife, yeah, it's the obvious response. So you can't really blame him for doing that. Right? You really can't, in my opinion.
My grandmother married my grandfather when they were 14 and he was 16 years old.
My grandparents were 17 and 16.
My grandparents were 17 and 19. My grandfather was 19. She was
so if you want to put, and my grandmother, I think she had 12 kids altogether. I think it's
five, I think.
No, it's 11. Six girls, 5 boys. All right, from my mom's side that my grandmother had. Right, and so you can't have that many kids if you don't get married that early in life. And this is my grandparents were talking about. So this is not something that was 500 years ago. This is a generation ago. People were marrying that early. That this is what it was back then. You know what I mean? Especially when you had, you know what I mean? Especially when you had, they grew up in North Carolina, there was farm. And what they would do is they needed kids to work the farm. And the kids you got became workers that you didn't have to pay. And this is the reason why they had so many kids and everything else. You know what I mean? So, it was, we got Val right here saying my grandma was 13, her grandfather was 18. So this is the way it was back in the day. This is the way it was. So when I look at the Otto situation, I do believe he's putting his daughter in the best possible position she could be in. He's making a queen. Now, is his tactics dirty and everything else? Yes. Does he have
everybody's dirty?
Yeah. And he's insider trading, right? He has knowledge that this king may not be alive much longer, right? He's seen that the maesters work on him. I mean, he put his hand inside that damn bowl of maggots and everything else and all that stuff, and he knows what's going on with him. So he's like, y'all got to move now and everything. And my daughter, and she knows my daughter likes the histories, but she is picking at her nails. She is very, nervous to be in there. And I like that aspect that they did that with her. And I think that could make her, people like her better, her character, because saying that she didn't want this. She was thrusted into this. Mm-hmm. It's not her fault. And when it all goes down with them, people may say in the end, like, she didn't ask for this. She's playing the hand she was dealt, and now she has no choice but to do what she has to do to save the people. Do you think, that's me, do you think that that's what they're going for, Quinn? Are they trying to make her more sympathetic by doing the nails thing and everything else?
I do think they're trying to make her more sympathetic, just with her reactions to her father telling her like what to do. It's kind of like, I don't really want to do this. I see this as kind of as wrong because the king is mourning. She kind of has this understanding that she's coming to him in a time where he's like weak, right? And he's like emotionally vulnerable. And so she kind of feels the guilt. And I think that does humanize the character. I think that does, because we see that she is empathetic to some degree, at least. Yeah. So, yeah.
And she's conflicted about it. Part of it is because I do think she has a genuine affinity for him as a person. It's her. She's known him her whole life and he's obviously a kind person, maybe a weak king, but a kind person. So yeah, I definitely think there's some aspects of that. Tony, we have a special voicemail, I think, from one of your patrons.
Hello, this is Luna Cascade, patron and viewer of all of your live streams and everything else you put out there. My question is, do you think there's any significance to the fact that that Daemon and Rhaenyra speak Valyrian to one another? Is that a form of intimacy or a show of power? Or what are your thoughts on that? Thank you. Bye-bye.
I see it as like an intimate thing that they share because there's obviously tension between these characters sexually since the first episode. They're hot for each other. So it's just kind of like a cute thing that they share between each other. That's what I make of that.
I think to me, I look at it as, let's just say, as a black man, right? And I'm over here, and if I'm in an all white neighborhood, and I see another black man, and I see him, I'm like, "What up, my niece? What's going on, Paul? What's going on?" It's a relatability, like, yeah, Shem, we up in here together. Same thing if you see Spanish people, you know what I mean? Like I know my man, he Puerto Rican, and when he go on my job, when he goes around, he sees other Mexican people, he starts talking to them in Spanish, and they have a bond just because they speak the same language, they get that bond and make them feel more comfortable around each other. So I think it's something that they can do together that other people don't, and other people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They can just say what they want freely without people eavesdropping and understanding what they're saying. But I think it's more of them just, this is something we got. Back in the day, the chicks used to speak that double G shit in my school back. I'm old, man. They used to speak this double G.
Hit the guy, hit the guy, or the you, the goo, to the go, hit the guy, hit the guy.
Yeah, the girls who speak that damn double G. I can't do it.
I learned it. Yeah, I learned it.
They spoke that, and they spoke that damn pig Latin shit. I didn't know you, but
I couldn't do that either. I couldn't do that. I couldn't get it. I never could. It made me so mad.
It was in one of the Babysitters Club's books that I got access to, and I read for a while. But Tony, I agree with everything that both you guys were saying. But to piggyback what you were saying, Tony, and I think what else do they share in common? I think it's on a very immediate level of what we see in the show, to see that in the Targaryens that we've met so far, Viserys, we haven't heard him yet speak Valyrian, but we've heard the other two, which are both dragon riders. So it shows that they're more true to that sort of vibe, to the dragon, the truest dragon kind of thing too. So showing their rep, showing that something that they share together, and I think also being an easy way to differentiate them from Viserys, to show how out of touch he is.
I was saying, Jeremy's like, everyone was trying to speak Pig Latin. I think we could look at it as let's go back to Game of Thrones real quick. When Daenerys conned the guy and is like, yeah, I'm selling you the dragon. And then he was talking shit, and she said, he goes, you speak Valyrian? And she's like, oh, because he thought he could get away with saying what he wanted. He realized that
Valyrian is my mother tongue.
That's and look at his face. You speak Valyrian? That was it. Oh God. That's what his ass got burped. That, to me, still one of my favorite scenes of the whole series. Just that one scene was just amazing. And I was lucky.
Absolutely, Tony. And I love the scene. This is controversial, I know, but I like the show version of that scene just a little bit more than the book version. Just because, like, in the show, it's like, if you're just watching the show and you don't know anything about the books, then you don't necessarily 100% know that she speaks High Valyrian full on like that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like ambiguous. And then when she turns around and she says a dragon is not a slave, that moment is like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a great TV moment.
It's so good. So good.
Tony, we still have the voicemail lines packed, so let me know.
Let's go.
By the way, guys, I got about 20 minutes.
Yeah, we leave at 8:30.
Yeah, we'll leave at 8:30. So we got a few more minutes. So we'll try to get through as many of these voicemails as we can tonight. This is area code 386.
Hi guys, it's Hannah calling back. I don't really know what's going on or what's happening.
Okay, this is area code 901.
Hi, this is D Strong 12. I'm new to the whole streaming thing. I sent a couple of things in the chat. I was the one that did the most death, but I've been rocking with Teflon since GOT. I just want you guys to know that. And as soon as I figure out how to do the whole membership join thing, then I will do it. But I just wanted to shout out and see if I can get through if it was actually a true thing. So thank you guys. I'm loving it. Love you guys. Love you, Quinn. Love you.
Sorry, but that message got cut off. We're gonna
real quick. Let's just say, if you want to become a member, how do you do it? You go to Teflon TV homepage, and there should be right by subscribe. There should be a button right there, and it says "Become a member of Teflon TV." You just click that button, and you pick the level that you want to be. Any level is fine, and that's how you become a member of Teflon TV. The higher you go up, the more you go up. And listen, if you hit the underboss or the boss level, and you're subscribing for 1 month, I will send you, and I'm going to put it right in there and writing, so there's nowhere, I'll send you a copy of Quinn's book. Either audio version or whatever, or the regular version, whatever you want.
And this is a clarification from the message we got earlier asking us about the letter.
Hey guys, sorry, it's Justin again. Just to clarify the letter I'm talking about, it's not a letter from the show. After Aegon conquered 6 of the 7 kingdoms, and after Rhaenys died, he got a letter from Dorne, and he read it, and he never spoke about it, and he went to Dragonstone and came back, and he just left conquering Dorne alone. He was like, forget about it. I'm just curious if that has anything to do with the dream that Viserys was talking about that's been passed down. That's the letter I'm talking about.
All right. Thank you. Now, I think that letter is just saying, listen, we have your chick. We're going to kill her. Do you want us to torture her, or do you want us just to kill her quick? And if you want us to kill her quick, you need to leave right now and leave us the hell alone. And that's it. I think that's what it was. I don't think it has anything to do with the House of the Dragon or anything like that. I think it was big. They had his girl that he loved, and they told him straight up, we're going to kill her. She's dead. There's no getting her back. Now what? Because her dragon got shot down. We have her. Back then they didn't have pictures. They couldn't send her a picture or anything like that. They may have sent something else in there to let her know that they definitely had her. Do you want us to kill her easily, or are we going to torture her and really kill her? Really, he didn't want to see her tortured, and that's why he just left her alone.
Absolutely.
I don't even remember that.
And I think Doomer, great super chat, but I think Tony and I will have to save that for a separate podcast where we compare House of the Dragon characters with Wire characters. But I'll say I think Daemon is Omar a little bit on the show. Like Daemon's gonna like push.
He's Omar. You think he would be Omar?
I think maybe, right? Wouldn't he be sort of like the force of chaos to a certain extent?
Omar's a very complex character. But I could see why you would think he would be him. Without a doubt. Stringer Bell would be Otto.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And everything, but Damon could also be Marlo too. So he could be Marlo. So it all depends how you look at it. But yeah, we could definitely do something like that.
Oh yeah, I could see. I'm thinking of a different. Anyways, before I go too far down that road, let's zip through a few more voicemails before we call this. This is from our good favorite. I think it's from Kiki.
Hey everybody, it's the infamous Kiki. Hello, Phil. Hello, Tony, and of course, hello, Quinn, my favorite. I would just like to say, my question is, since we've seen the show, and I mean, we've only seen 2 episodes, of course. I would want to know, like, how many seasons would you really like to see this go on? I'm saying 3. That's what I think, 3 seasons. But I'm just curious to what y'all would say. I hope they don't stretch this on to 4 or 5 seasons or anything like that, and then the story becomes stale or lost or boring. I have read the book, and so it's very concise and to the point. It can have things included into it, but I don't want them to just go on too long. So that's my question. Let me know, what do you think? And also my side question is how did Corlys Valyrian get the nickname Sea Snake? I'm just saying, maybe we'll save that. I'm asking for a friend. Maybe we'll save that question for another time. Love y'all. Bye.
Yeah, he got the nickname because his boat is called the Sea Snake, the boat that he does. So his nickname comes from his boat. It has to be more than 3. There's too many battles for them to do it in 3. You would have to have a battle every 3 episodes. It would be 2 to 3 battles a season. If you did it, you have the Battle of Tumbleton, the first and the second Battle of Tumbleton. There's a bunch of them, so it would have to be 3 just because of the battles itself. So I would think that, to me, 5 would be where it should be. 5 to 6, where I would see it.
I don't remember everything that has to take place, so I can't really comment on the exact amount of seasons that I think, but I will say that the worst thing that you can do with a show like this is to extend it past its expiration date. I feel like the best shows are shows that have a plan for a certain amount of seasons, and they stick to that specific plan because it's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you don't get to a point where you feel like they're just kind of meandering
Breaking
around.
Bad, Better Call Saul. Sorry.
Yeah, I think those 2 shows knew exactly when to call it quits.
Exactly.
Even in Breaking Bad, it got even more popular after they released everything on Netflix, and they could have rode that.
Dude,
and
they begged them to do more, and they're like, no.
And they still said nope, even though they was like, oh, your popularity's bigger than it ever was. And they said, nope, this was the plan from the beginning. People should have been watching from the beginning. And it goes off. So, but the whole thing is, when they back the dump truck of money up to you, but I think they have plans, right? So if they stick to their plans from what I'm hearing, this is an anthology series, and it's this House of the Dragon, and then they're going to go to Aegon's conquest or go to a different part of the timeline. and do another 4 or 5 seasons of that, and then skip to another point in the timeline and do that. I think it works better that way, and I would love to see them do that. So then you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I say 4 or 5 seasons the most, and then just keep. I think they're thinking about this in the long game of many Game of Thrones and many A Song of Ice and Fire series, and this will just be the beginning point if this series continues to be a hit.
So yeah, so how many seasons do you think, Quinn? Would you think this should go? And what you remember?
I mean, I could see it being around 4 seasons, honestly. I think you could make it concise enough to do 4 seasons.
4 seasons is a long time. It's 4 years. Now, depending on how long they shoot these, it could take 2 years for getting 1 season out, right? So they have 4 seasons, and we've seen it with Westworld and other shows where they shot, and it's taken 2 years to get a season. They do that. It may go 4 seasons may go 6, 7 years.
Yep.
If it takes that. We'll take the super chat from Sweet Swag. Thank you so much. Is anyone else a bit irritated on how naive Viserys would be acting at how grimy Otto is? Like, you can't be this late and not see how nasty Otto Hightower is. Now, I think that sometimes the people we're looking at it as the outside looking, and we see everything Otto is doing. King ain't in the room at certain times when he's seeing the Otto is a great kisser of ass. And some people like to get their ass kicked to that point. So sometimes you let things go, even when you know they're assholes, because you think it benefits you. But how do y'all feel about that? Are you upset that Viserys doesn't? Daemon tells him Otto's a snake. He ain't here to protect you. Right in his face. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm irritated a lot that Viserys does, but I think a lot of what Viserys boils down to is that he just shouldn't be king. Yeah. He doesn't know how to watch out for people. Like, he really just shouldn't be doing this. Like, just in general, he's naive, I think, and doesn't really know the direction to take. It's like Rhaenyra is like, take the dragons. It's like she has a better suggestion than anything he was saying, and then he kicks her out of the room. I don't know. I just think that he doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't know what to look out for. And he's just very comfortable, like being a Targaryen prince his whole life and never really having that much conflict. I think he's just very comfortable.
Yeah, I think he's comfortable, and he's too close to it because he probably thinks I need to have someone that's better at this than me running things for me. So he does think he's a schemer, does think he's a cunt, does think he's this, does think he's that, but also thinks he's for him, like that he's on my side, that guy's there to make sure I can do this because I need a guy like that to get his hands dirty for me. So I think there is some element of compartmentalizing within Viserys as well in the way that he tends to deal with things. And so he's got those blinders up. Yeah, I know he's scheming. You think I don't know who he is? You're trying to tell me I don't know that he's a scumbag? I know he's a scumbag. I know exactly what he's doing. And so he's also, he has that prideful Targaryen thing that don't tell me anything kind of vibe from his the other Viserys that we've seen.
I'll bring this to the real world situation. If you ever looked at the Rockefeller records with Jay-Z, which was founded with Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Dame Dash always says, and you hear him say it a lot, he always says that I was the asshole so Jay didn't have to be.
Yeah.
I was the bad guy so Jay could be the good cop. But in the end, Jay fucked me over, so it burnt all my bridges, but Jay still had all those connections because he never had to be that asshole. But I was being that asshole because I was that asshole for him. I was doing that for us. I didn't think he fucked me over in the end, or I wouldn't have done all that, but he did it, and that's
damn,
how
Jay-Z.
Huh?
I just said, damn, Jay-Z. I didn't know that story.
Yeah, that's Dame Dash's side of the story. You know what I mean? Like, everyone hated Dame Dash. Everyone said Dame Dash is a dick, but he's like, yeah, I'm a dick because so Jay didn't have to be that dick and everything. Oh, I got rid of that, and I didn't mean to. I didn't see what that said. That super chat from Angie. Thank you. He said he is too comfortable for his own good. He didn't take Daemon seriously. So I'm talking about the king. Yeah. I don't know if I think he is comfortable, but I don't know if he didn't take his brother. I think he doesn't think his brother's a threat to take the throne from him. I don't think he thinks it's that type of party.
I feel like for some reason, Viserys keeps failing to see value in the right people. Like, he's failing to see the value in Rhaenyra. He's failing to see the value in having Daemon at his side. I think that there's just a bunch of misjudgments. He's just making the wrong judgments at the wrong time, I think, in a lot of these cases.
Tywin Z, the Gold Prince.
Tywin.
And everything else. Yeah. You know, I agree with a lot of things that a lot of people are saying here. 100%. You know what I mean? You have more voicemails trying to get through them before we bounce out.
Yeah, we have one last one here. Let me get to it. I lost it first. I ended up losing it, but here we go. This is a little bit more about what we were talking about earlier, I believe.
Hi, Teflon. So this is Elisa. I'm repping the Bronx, but I currently live in Arizona. Anywho, I was just interested in like the theory that Jon Snow, and I'm not a book reader, by the way, but I've been hearing a lot about Firewhite, that Jon Snow, his story, and I know we're getting off topic about House of the Dragon, but it kind of ties in because they're talking about this long night prophecy. What if, regarding the Firewhite in Jon Snow, because he was brought back to life by Melisandre, would they make his show like going like 100 years later into or past Game of Thrones era? And are there different like factions within the White Walker situation? Because remember, I think it was season 1 or season 2 when Sam ran into the Night King or some of the White Walkers, and they kind of looked primitive in the beginning, and then later on during the season they kind of looked more fashionable. They had clothing. Prior they had looked like kind of just having like a cloth over their waist, kind of covering their parts down there, but it kind of looked just so different. So I don't know if that's the same White Walkers, or are there different factions? Just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Well, let me go through it. Just a little bit of it, and I'll let Quinn take it. So when dealing with the Firewhites, why they say that's because George R. R. Martin once said in an interview, he said that Jon Snow is just like Beric Dondarrion, right? He compared him to Beric. He's like his blood's not pumping, his heart's not beating right now when he gets brought. Well, John wasn't brought back yet. It was in the show, and he was talking about that because he's not brought back in the books in that way that we seen and everything. He just got stabbed up in the books. But that's what he was talking about the show, that his heart's not beating. He's like that. So that's what a Firewhite saying that Jon Snow is basically as a zombie, a walking zombie like Beric, but a conscious zombie and everything else. So will he get decayed? Will his body or anything get decay or something like that? We're not sure if they're going to show that. I was answered about the White Walkers and everything, but Quinn, you wanted to say something. Let's jump in.
I was just going to say there's 3 distinct designs for the White Walkers in Game of Thrones and I think the changes don't have to do with anything canonically. It's just because they just weren't consistent with the way they looked. They look totally different in the first episode. They look really different in the episode where Sam sees them walking by, and then they get redesigned again, and they have their stupid armor or whatever. So yeah, I think that was just inconsistency on the part of the people that are behind the show, right? And we see that with a lot of things. The inconsistent, they had trouble getting like the actors to come back, which I don't even know how. And also inconsistency with the way the Children of the Forest looked. Like all of a sudden, Bloodraven looked different, like in a different season. They changed his hair. Like who was cutting his hair? Who cut Bran's hair? I mean, I think they were just really inconsistent with the look of certain things. There's a lot of things in the original Game of Thrones show, especially, that just look different from every time you see them. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's all there is to that.
100%. It's not different factors. It's just that they found a better way to make them look as the season went by. And that's what in the beginning they had them, they're going to be these sitting on these dead horses with no armor and everything else. And then someone from the props department came up and said, hey, we think this looks better.
This will look better.
And they went with it. And it also goes by, you can look at superhero movies, right? Every time you always see them changing superheroes' costumes. Why do they do that? To sell more merchandise, right? They can't have Spider-Man in the same costume. They change his costume every time. That's just basically to sell more merchandise. And I think it's more of a situation like that than actually meaning anything significant in the books. But the Jon Snow situation is they're bringing up that he's that because George said this. George said that his heart's not beating anymore, blood's not flowing through him. If you look at the same situation, when you look at Cold Hands, that would be a description for Cold Hands, and he compared him to Beric Dondarrion being brought back. But he's saying Beric is the worst because Beric's been brought back multiple times, and John's only been brought back once. So that's where they're going with that. Fernando, it says yes, it's time to yes to the timeline change. Make sure the character's younger and older, or do you think they should have just kept the time ages the same as the book? No, I don't mind them. They have to do it for TV purposes. You can't have these young girls doing the things that these older ladies are going to do. So that I think that's the reason why it's going to go down like that and everything else. Listen, we had a great time here tonight. We're going to have to let everybody go. I want you to get ready. Almost half an hour. I want you to get your snacks ready. I want you to get your popcorn popped. I want you to get ready. I want you to have to rush in the room and everything else and all that. So if you're looking for a show to watch as soon as it's over, this is what you do. You got my boy Phil the Issues Guy right there. You go right to Phil the Issues Guy's channel. He's right there. Also, we have David Lightbringer's also doing something too. So maybe you could bar hop back and forth, you know what I mean, and chill at both spots and everything else, and go watch those shows and everything else. Maybe we'll have Dave on next week. We'll talk to him about that and see what we'll have other people on. Quinn, man, you need to come on more often, but I know you're busy, man. But it's really been great catching up with you, brother.
Absolutely. It's been great coming on, chatting with both of you guys anytime, really anytime.
Now, you mentioned Mad Men. Forget Star Trek. We got to talk about Mad Men. That's like one of my favorite.
Oh, I love
shows.
Mad Men. I'm rewatching it right now.
I just finished a rewatch of it. It's one of those shows I watch twice a year. I like do a whole rewatch of it. Great show.
Magnificent. Yeah.
And listen, not a lot of Star Trek talk with you guys. So, y'all got to do the Star Trek live stream. Did you watch the new Star Trek show on Paramount?
Strange New Worlds?
The brand, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
It was finally. All the other ones are pretty trashy. I mean, they have their moments, but Lower Decks is kind of good too. It has its moments of funny. It's not my humor, but I like some of the cameos they have. But Strange New Worlds actually got it. It actually was Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought so too. We go do a live stream about that. We'll definitely get on that. If you like
Tony, you could totally be a part of that too. You just don't want to embrace
I can't go back into the law, but I can deal with that history. I know some things, but I don't know like y'all know. But I know
you'd be fine. You'd be fine.
And the number one thing about knowing stuff is not knowing when you don't know stuff. All right. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Quinn. Again, thank you. Please put in links. If you're looking for Quinn's books, we put it in there before, but I'll put it at the description. Again, what is the website, Quinn?
QuinnHoward.net.
Go check them out and everything. You like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and as always, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.